Welcome to another show. I am James Swanwick, and this is the Alcohol-Free Lifestyle Podcast. Today, we are talking about reducing your resting heart rate, getting rid of heartburn, reducing anxiety, and getting off prescription medication. That is what happened to my guest today, Evan Melcher, who is a 46-year-old financial advisor from Atlanta, Georgia. He is married to Jennifer. He's the father of two, and he's 95 days alcohol-free as we recorded this, and he has gone through our Project 90 experience. Pretty incredible to get off prescription medication simply from stopping drinking alcohol. Soon as he stopped drinking alcohol, heartburn gone, anxiety reduced, resting heart rate down, and doesn't need the medication anymore. Astounding. I'll let him share the details of that coming up. You'll also hear us talking about how he's saved millions of heartbeats per year. I talked about the reduced resting heart rate. We did the math, or Evan did the math. Imagine saving 3 to 4 million heartbeats a year. How much extra rest that puts on your heart, or how much extra rest that gives your heart, I should say. So that's all coming up. First of all, if you haven't got my Alcohol Freedom Formula guide, it is a free guide. I outline the process that I take all of my clients in Project 90 through, including Evan. If you want that, I'll send it out to you. Just go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide, and I'll send it out to you. And likewise, if you are curious to speak to one of our coaches regarding the Project 90 experience, where we help high performers, including entrepreneurs, business owners, CPAs, realtors, financial analysis, executives, top professionals, salespeople, those kind of folks, to quit alcohol for at least 90 days and possibly beyond, because most of our clients end up choosing to be alcohol-free after the 90 days. If you'd like to speak to one of my coaches about that, you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. You can just answer a few questions on a form. I hate filling out forms, so I've made the form very, very short. And it'll probably take you about 2 minutes. Fill that out. What does SCOO mean? Choose a convenient time for you to chat to one of our coaches, and one of our coaches will call you. We'll have a quick chat with you, find out what's going on. Worst case scenario, you'll take the plan that we give you and you can go and attempt it on your own. And some of you will lock arms with us and join us in Project 90, and we will support you and hold you accountable and have a lot of fun. People forget that this can be fun. Quitting drinking can be fun. I know it doesn't seem that way, but most of our clients share with me that the experience of going through Project 90 is fun. In fact, Evan talked about going to Mexico on a trip with his wife, Jennifer, having the most fun compared to when he was in the same resort in Mexico two years earlier when they were both drinking. Again, you'll hear a little bit more from him about that. So yeah, if you want to have some fun, then alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule, or if you're in the US on a mobile phone, you can text the word Project 90 to the number 44222, and I'll text you back that same form and calendar link where you can schedule a call. All right, let us get into our conversation with Evan. Wonderful man, supported all of our other members, was open to being coached, really positive energy. He'd lost 25 pounds, I think, just before he joined us in Project 90. And all of the health benefits started to kick in as he went through this experience. I'll let him share about them. Here he is, Evan Melcher. Resting heart rate, you said, has fallen 10 to 15 beats per minute. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I wear a device called an Oura ring, Oura. And it tracks all kinds of metrics around sleep and rest and stages of sleep. And one of the things I noticed in July when I stopped drinking is that my resting heart rate when I was sleeping fell tremendously. I was able to get into, prior to stopping alcohol, it would take me the first half of the night for my heart rate to regulate. And when I went alcohol free, my heart rate would regulate really fast. And instead of my resting heart rate in the evenings being in the mid 60s or 70s, it's now in the low to mid 50s
Wow.
consistently. So I am saving, 10 to 15 beats a minute while I'm sleeping, which is millions of heartbeats a year.
Yeah. How many million heartbeats a year are you saving? I think we estimated it was like 3 to 4 million
3 to 4 million heartbeats a year, right? 10 to 15 over the course of an evening, over the course of a year, 525,000 minutes in a year, right? It's 3 to 4 million over the course of a year, which is pretty tremendous.
Wow, that's incredible. So your heart beats 3 to 4 million beats less per year simply because you stopped drinking the attractively packaged poison that we refer to as alcohol.
It's incredible.
It's astounding. And what impact do you think that has had on you physically? Not just the resting heart rate, but yeah, what physical impact has that had?
Well, I mean, I'm a dad to young kids. I want to be here for a long time for them. And, this heart muscle is what keeps me going. And so I feel like if I can give it a rest in the evenings when it's supposed to be calmer, that I'm just doing myself and my family a good favor and helping keep that heart muscle healthy.
Yeah. Tell me about your family, Evan.
Sure. I have a wonderful wife, Jennifer. We've been married for 10 years. I have two boys. I have an 8-year-old and a 4-year-old, and they are rambunctious. I just got them off to bed.
Are they good kids?
For the most part, right? They're spirited kids. We live on a horse farm outside of Atlanta, and so they have plenty of room to roam, but we don't have a lot of neighbors around us, so they tend to run wild around our farm and around our house, and keep us chasing after them.
How big is your horse farm? How many horses do you have? Just describe the farm for us.
Sure, we have 14 acres, and we have 6 horses, and little a little mini horse for the little one to ride. We've got 2 kind of mid-size horses for me and the older son, and then we've got some big horses that my wife rides competitively.
Yeah, beautiful. Tell us a little bit about what your drinking habits were before you chose to go alcohol free inside of our Project 90 experience.
Sure. Well, I kind of probably started like most, and you drink in America fairly heavily in college, I think, and then you get kind of in the professional world, and dinners and work stuff, and you go out and drink socially and work wise. And then over the last, I don't know, I'd say 5 to 10 years, I started drinking a lot of red wine, and so I would drink red wine in the evenings and most nights. And so I would say I rarely didn't drink. So most evenings we put the kids to bed, and I'd have a glass or two, and probably more recently before I went alcohol free, probably 3 a night.
Got it. And what impact was that having on you?
I don't think I was waking up as my best self the next day. I feel like I would, go to bed and probably not getting as good a sleep like we've seen with the ring. So I wasn't, showing up for my family as a 10. I wasn't showing up at work probably as a 10. I feel like I was, performing well, but I think my idea of what I was showing up as was off, was skewed. Now that I've gone over 90 days alcohol free. So, and I think probably towards the end, we had obviously COVID. I think, I a year ago had back surgery that I recovered from. And I think that had something to do with more recent increases in alcohol consumption. But, I just feel like, more recently, I've been showing up more as a 10 now,
Mm. What's an example of how you may have been with Jennifer, your wife, when you were let's say, a 6 out of 10, and how maybe you are with Jennifer now that you're feeling closer to the 9 out of 10?
Yeah, I mean, I think my rhythm, I even asked Jennifer recently, I said, have you noticed any differences? And I feel like, she said she feels like I have more energy. She feels like I've been more spirited with the kids, in the evenings, especially. Right. So I think before you finish a long day at work, you finish dinner, you clean up, you go up, have bath time and all that. And I think before you almost rush the kids to bed so that you can get downstairs and turn on Netflix and have that glass of wine, right? Now that I'm not doing that, I feel like, we spend more quality time at dinner, after dinner. We take more time with the bath time with the kids. We read books longer because we're no longer rushing off to something else. And that's been really impactful, and I think helped us be better parents.
Yeah. So better relationship with Jennifer, and then both of you being better parents to your two children.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jennifer was never a big drinker anyway, and she she said to me when I stopped drinking, she said, I said, "Well, thank you for not drinking too. That's great." And she's like, "Well, I never really loved doing it anyway. I just did it because you did it." So, of course, made me feel a little guilty at that point. But
Yeah.
she's been uber supportive, and we even just went on vacation without the kids for the first time in, 9 years. We just went to Mexico, and first vacation I've ever had alcohol free. And she didn't drink, I didn't drink, and it was just tremendous. The food tastes better. We had an amazing, time away, quality time as a couple, which was just amazing. But it was great just to do it together, alcohol free. I mean, it was. We woke up, we worked out every day, we went for walks on the beach, we read books, we played games, we went out for good food, we did a cooking class, all kinds of stuff that you just don't do when you're on vacation and you wake up and are focused on having that margarita by the pool, right?
Did you see other folks having margaritas by the pool?
Lots, most actually.
And what was going through your mind, both when you were being alcohol free on this trip and you were seeing others drinking margaritas by the pool? Like, what were some of the new thoughts that you had?
I didn't crave drinking. I didn't crave alcohol. I think at that point I was already, over halfway through the Project 90. So, I had enough confidence in myself and in the fun that we were having, and just really, I think just being without the kids and kind of having that quiet. I don't know. We appreciated the isolation, the conversation, and it was funny. We had been to the same resort in Mexico, so 2 years ago, I guess it was, and by the pool all day, it just seems like a lot of fun, right? Like a really fun atmosphere and music and people hanging out and stuff. And what you notice this time is you notice the people that have been drinking a ton and they're being obnoxious, and it gets super annoying actually, right? People start to kind of show their butts a little bit, and it's kind of embarrassing for them.
Yeah.
I like to think that wasn't me.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And did anyone on this trip, offer you drinks or question you as to why you weren't drinking? Did that happen, or did you keep much to yourself?
No, nobody questioned why we didn't drink. People offered us drinks, but you kind of get to know people when you go on these things. And so we went down and ordered a Topo Chico down there. They had Topo Chico here. There's shortages everywhere, but there Topo Chico's everywhere. So there we would just get Topo Chico and lime and or sparkling water and lime. And it was great. And, or if someone would come over and say, "Hey, would you like something to drink?" And you just tell them confidently what you want, and nobody second guesses it. And, even when they come and bring you a menu and it's all cocktails on the menu, and you say, "Great, what do you have that's non-alcoholic?" "I don't drink." And they're happy to oblige. Right. But it's, you make a bigger deal of it in your head, I think. But I think, just when you say it with confidence to somebody, they are more than happy to, help you out.
Yeah. Were you unable or unwilling to be that confident or to step into politely declining alcohol before you went through this Project 90 experience? Like for years, was it like, oh, I can't do that, I'm not going to do that? Like maybe just what were some of the roadblocks you may have had in your mind?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, even when I started the program, I think it was the first weekend or second weekend that I was participating. We had a dinner party over at some friend's house, and I was used to kind of going over there and bringing a bottle of wine, and then they open a bottle of wine, and then we have cocktails and we hang out and have a good time and cook good food. And I was nervous actually about going just to that dinner and to tell the other gentleman that hey, I'm not drinking. And so, but once I told him ahead of time, and then when I got there, he said, "Hey, I've made you a mocktail with this fresh fruit juice and this and that and the other," and he was supportive. And then, of course, he asked, "So tell me what you're doing and why you're doing this, because that sounds horrible." And I just, I said, "Look, I didn't feel like alcohol was really serving me and helping me be my best, and so I'm taking a break." And that was early on in the process. The further I've gotten into it, the more confident I've gotten. I just went on a guys trip, a football trip with two friends that I haven't seen for a while, and they didn't know. And of course, I showed up. 10 minutes before I got to the restaurant, they said, "What are you drinking?" And I said, "I'll have a sparkling water, a lime, and ice, thanks." And they thought I was joking. And I showed up, and they had a beer ready for me. And I got there, and I said, "No, really, you didn't order me my drink." And they said, "No, we thought you were kidding." And so I said, "No, I'm not kidding. I'm alcohol free." And they, from then on, were just super supportive. And in fact, I think collectively between the two of them, they had two drinks the entire rest of the weekend after that. And we went to an NFL football game. We went out to a fancy dinner. We went to a casino. I mean, we were living it up, but I was alcohol free. And I think in solidarity, they were like, "Well, we don't need a drink either. We're good." And it was a tremendous weekend. And then I got back, and both of them separately sent me notes saying, "Dude, we're super proud of you. We're excited for this next chapter of your life. So way to go." So it was awesome.
That is awesome. Thanks for sharing that. What a great story. And imagine just how many groups of friends there are all over the US, all over the world, who don't get to experience that kind of connection a weekend. And maybe there's a sense of obligation to drink alcohol, or maybe it's not even a sense of obligation. Maybe it's just become so routine that they can't even fathom the idea of an alcohol-free weekend with the guys going to a football game and going to the casino, or whether it's a group of gals going out and, having fun together, or, men and women together. Maybe the idea of no alcohol present is just so out of the realms of possibility or their imagination that it just never happens. It's because what you just described is a rarity, isn't it? And you see it when you go to football games or baseball, any professional sport, just how ingrained alcohol is into the experience of watching professional sport, right?
I mean, I've been to a couple different stadiums since going alcohol free. And what I've noticed is there's nothing to purchase. It's either alcohol or soda, sugary drinks. There's nothing. You can get a water, but if you wanted to get anything that was like a sparkling water, a mineral water, anything that's just other than just a plain water, you just can't get it. But there's 75 different types of beers and liquors and everything else you might want, right? So it's really there's a gap there. And what I've found is, since being alcohol free, is there's a lot more people that are alcohol free than I assumed before. So I keep running into people that say they quit drinking, they are living a healthier lifestyle, whatever the case may be. I mean, it happened yesterday. It happened again today. This stuff never happened. I didn't even know these people quit drinking years ago. And, somehow you start opening up about the things that are new in your life, and people say, "Oh yeah, I'm alcohol free too." Right. It's enlightening.
Yeah. That's also, I would offer, your reticular activating system kicking in there. So we talk about this inside of Project 90. It's called RAS, the Reticular Activating System, which is a series of nerves in your brain which focuses on that which you are already focusing on. Or another way to say it is that you attract what you're thinking about. So just to use a very simple analogy, if you and I started talking about a red Tesla car, Elon Musk's electric car, red Teslas, and we had a conversation about red Teslas, chances are, in the coming days or weeks, we would all start seeing at least one, if not many, red Teslas. Now, maybe not around where you are on the horse ranch if you're a little bit tucked away from traffic in Georgia, but there might be an article that pops up on Google News. You might be watching TV and there's a red Tesla. You'll start to focus in on red Teslas. That is your RAS kicking into gear. And so when you were just shared now that since being alcohol free, you're suddenly meeting all these other people who've been alcohol free. That could very well be your RAS kicking into gear. Those folks were always alcohol free. You just didn't notice. And now you're noticing.
Right.
And now they're noticing you. And like attracts like. And conversation attracts similar conversation. So, yeah, I'd be surprised if you didn't start to see even more evidence of a tidal wave of folks who are becoming increasingly alcohol free. How did these conversations come up, Evan? How did they naturally occur?
Well, the person I was talking to yesterday was someone who had gone through a pretty serious health challenge a couple years ago. And I knew he had gone through his health challenge, but he's healthy again. And he's doing, Tough Mudders, and he's doing all kinds of, he's put all the weight that he had lost because he was really sick. He's gained back and then some. He's really a healthy guy. And he just, mentioned, I just asked him how his health was. He's like, great, man, I'm doing really, really well. And, I'm healthy, I'm eating well, I'm alcohol free, basically. And then the gentleman I talked to today was someone who was, I knew him about 7 or 8 years ago, and we kind of lost touch. And today he reached out and wanted to reconnect, and we did. And when we were talking, he said, 6, 7 years ago when we knew each other, he wanted to apologize for, he said he wanted to apologize for basically not being his best at that time, and said he was going through a really rough period and he was drinking a lot and he was depressed, and that he got better, and it started when he stopped drinking, and he's been alcohol free ever since, and he's rocking and rolling, living the good life now, which is great.
Are these new conversations or old, friendships that are reigniting, or do they feel different? Do they feel invigorating to you? Are you neutral about them? Like, how are you feeling about this?
Well, I feel like, when I started this journey with your program, it was a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day thing. It wasn't, I'm going to go alcohol free forever. That wasn't my intention when I started. But what's happened is I've been in the program and I've read different books and I've really been around the other members. I've been motivated and encouraged to continue past the 90 days and to continue my alcohol-free journey. So it's part of looking back. I don't look back and regret on things because I feel like life takes you to where you are today and you learn and become the person you are. But I also, look at some of these folks that maybe went alcohol-free a couple of years ago. I'm like, man, I wish I was on the boat a couple of years ago. Right. Because I have just a tremendous amount of respect for people that have kind of gone through that process. And it's not easy to kind of, get to the other side of that and just stop drinking and kind of start your new life. So I have a huge amount of respect and admiration for the people that I've reconnected with that have figured this out before I did. And, I have a huge amount of respect for people that want to try it for themselves and ask me about it, because it's been a life-changing experience for me.
Yeah, you were mentioning as well that you've cut out medication from your life since going alcohol-free as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm happy to. So I think part of, probably the wine. I thought it was food, but I think it was really the wine. Um, I was having a lot of heartburn during the day and in the evenings, and I've had endoscopies and other things over time to kind of see that I need medication to control those flare-ups, and prevent more serious issues. Well, magically, when I quit drinking, and I stopped pouring acid down my throat, I stopped having issues with heartburn. And so I was able to stop taking my Nexium that I was taking. I was on some anti-anxiety medication that I've been on for a long time. When I wasn't drinking alcohol anymore, that's, I think, keeping me in stress and anxiety. I was able to move away from that and actually, kind of feel more of the ups and downs of life, which is pretty cool. And then I was also taking a statin for cholesterol, and I'm still working on, my testing on that, but making sure that, I've got the cholesterol where I need it to be. But I'm pretty confident that with some natural remedies, I'm going to be able to move away from that too. So, yeah, I mean, medication is not good to be on, especially if it's something that you're going to be on for the rest of your life. And my doctor's pretty pleased that I've been able to move away from some meds that I've been on for a long time.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me, the fact that most people who go in with some health conditions to a doctor, I think the common thing is for the doctor to prescribe medication, right? Prescription drugs. And again, to be clear, I'm not a doctor, right? So what I'm about to say, just disclaimer, I am not a doctor. But it's really fascinating to me how you stopped consuming the toxins from alcohol and your heartburn stopped, your anxiety reduced, and it seems as if your cholesterol is going down, although there's more testing for you to do on that. Now, all you did, if I understand correctly, is stop consuming the red wine, right? That's what you stopped doing consistently over the course of that time. And yet for I don't know how many years, you were taking PPIs, Nexium for the heartburn, is it Nalbutrin? Is that how you pronounce it? Wellbutrin
Yeah.
for anti-anxiety, statin to lower your cholesterol. How long had you been on those drugs for?
10 years.
So a decade on prescription drugs, and you didn't get the profound results as you have now from 90 days being alcohol free.
Yep, that's right. And the only thing, and I can tell you that was the control, because I started after I had surgery last year. I was able to go through rehab in December and January, and then start exercising again. And I lost 25 pounds prior to going alcohol free. So I was exercising regularly. I lost the weight. I was in, probably the best shape of my adult life going into the 90-day journey with you. And I still had heartburn. I still had the higher cholesterol. I still had the anxiety. So the only, the control, the only thing I changed was going alcohol free.
Yeah. If you, the listener, can sense I'm shaking my head. I'm just kind of I'm just like, it's so obvious to me, and it seems really obvious to you now, what was causing, or what was like a huge cause of all of those medical conditions that you referenced. And it's obvious to me, it seems obvious to me, that getting rid of alcohol has reversed all those conditions. Why doesn't the majority of society see this? Like, I don't get it. I mean, I've known this or suspected this for a decade, since I've really been studying alcohol. And I take a very holistic approach to life. I don't take prescription drugs. I try to eat well. I try to exercise. I try to get as much sunlight as I can. I like to journal and be grateful. I still got ups and downs in my life. I still got problems, challenges. I still get sad or feel what might be considered depression at times. But for the most part, I'm feeling pretty damn good about my life. I'm at least an 8 out of 10 most of the time. And I see society, or I see people popping prescription drugs, doctors and GPs handing out prescriptions, being stuck on these drugs, and then reinforcing the story that they need these drugs, right? And that they're somehow broken or there's something wrong with them that means that they have to take these drugs. Whereas in reality, I think, and again, I'm not a doctor, so GPs might be listening to me now, just screaming through the phone, listening to me on the podcast saying, you're not equipped to be able to talk like this. It seems to me like if we just get rid of a few simple things, alcohol, crappy processed food, and we moved just a little bit more, the entire pharmaceutical organization industry would collapse overnight. Excuse me. And people would become increasingly healthier, or increasingly healthy, I should say. It's poor grammar I said there. So not just physically, but mentally. What are your views or feelings on this now that you've experienced the profound changes?
I think it's two things. I think one is, you got to follow the money, right? And so whether it's prescription drugs or it's the food manufacturers that are putting in, the salts and the sugars to try to get you to buy more, I think that's, a big part of it because that's just where the money is. But I also think, secondly, people don't like to be told what to do. People have to come to a decision on their own. And so, it seems logical that people would hear, oh yeah, if you stop drinking alcohol or eating processed foods or all the sugars or whatever, right? You think if you hear that people would make an informed decision and say, well, I want to be healthier, so I will therefore. But people have to come to that place on their own. Of course I knew that it was healthier not to drink alcohol, but I had to be at that place where I was ready to do it. And once I was ready to do it, and then I Googled and found you, right, in your podcast and listened, and it just kind of clicked and it made sense. I said, I'll do this. And then, working with you and the coaches and going through this process, I was ready to hear the message. And I think that's the key is people need to be ready to hear the message. So, maybe people will hear the podcast episode and say, I'm kind of like that guy, and I'm ready to hear the message too. I don't know. They can reach out to me and ask me any questions about my experience if they want to.
Yeah. What for the listener who's maybe curious about what Project 90 is, would you maybe just communicate to them now what it is and what you experienced?
Certainly. It's kind of a multimedia experience, like an immersive experience that we've gone through, and it just works. For me, I didn't feel like I had a problem per se, but I felt like I could be better. And I was trying to be better, better dad, better husband, better colleague, like we talked about before. And so, being in a group of positive people, professionals that will, we get on several calls a week, Zoom calls with people from all over the world. And we have a coach facilitating the call, sometimes you and sometimes one of the other coaches. And just tremendous and going through exercises and talking about things that we're doing for the week and really just getting better and improving. And then a big part of the experience is an app on the phone called Marco Polo. And Marco Polo is an app where you can create quick video messages and send them out to the group. And there are probably 25 Marco Polos a day that are going around the group, and people can talk about their experiences or what they're going through or a challenge or a win. And then the rest of the group can kind of chime in and share a message like, hey, I've been there before. I've gone through something like that, or, hey, way to go. That's tremendous. And it's just incredible because you can see people over time just kind of changing, right? You can see people, the glow in their skin or their attitude or, their confidence. If they, like even me, at the beginning, go back and watch one of your early videos and you say, gosh, I'm kind of nervous about this social situation coming up this weekend or whatever the case may be. And then, fast forward 80 days and it's like, hey, I just went to an NFL football game on a guy's trip on a vacation to Mexico and totally alcohol free. And it was the best vacation of my life. Right. And so you can see people evolve, which is tremendous. And so, yeah, you've got Marco Polo and then we get these daily videos from you that have different, book reviews or ideas, tips and tricks kind of along the way. And it's just this multimedia experience that helps you get through the 90 days in a real positive way and feel like you're learning and improving each day and getting to be better and better. Is that a fair description? And you can fill in the gaps of anything I missed.
No, I got no gaps to fill in. Well done. That was a great summary of it. And did you find me and find this program through this podcast? Is that how you came across us in the first place?
I did. Yeah.
So did you just did you go into Apple Podcasts and type in the word alcohol? Is that what happened? And then
I think alcohol or alcohol free or something like that, or quitting alcohol. I don't know, something like that. And your podcast came up and I listened to an episode and I was like, that's interesting. And then I listened to a second episode and I heard about the 90 day and I was like, I wanted to do that.
Mm. And now it's come full circle because now you're being interviewed on the podcast, right?
Here we are. How about that? Yeah, it's tremendous. And I would have told you back then that I wouldn't have done a podcast episode too, because I would have been afraid to put myself out there like that. But I have a colleague who, right after I started, I heard do a podcast episode for a different men's group, mastermind type men's group. And he kind of made the announcement that he had gone alcohol free several months earlier and just kind of put it out there. And when I heard him do that right after I started, I knew, okay, well, I'm doing the right thing because, this guy is, he's got his stuff together. He's someone I really look up to. And so I knew I was kind of on the right path. But, the more you go through the program, the more you realize that it's not about you as you're going through it. It's also about all the other members in the program that are going through it with you. And you make some really deep connections and friendships that I feel like I'll have forever. And so you want to contribute and give back to help them have a better experience and be better people. And then you kind of want to carry that outside the program and be able to provide whatever feedback and help you can to other people that are maybe thinking about something similar and improving their lives too. So I don't know. It felt like the right thing to do when you asked me, because it felt like, if there's something I could do to help reach other people that maybe would help them be the best that they can be, then that's a win.
Yeah, incredible. Thank you, Evan. Let me see if I can summarize some of the results that you got here. Quality of sleep has been off the charts. Your resting heart rate has fallen 10 to 15 beats per minute. Your energy level is jacked. That was a word that you used just before we hit record on this interview. You've been meditating and exercising consistently. You feel like you've elevated your life to a 9 or a 10 out of 10. You feel you're a better dad, a better husband, a better co-worker, better manager. You now realize how much more you're capable of. You're more present with your wife, Jennifer, and the kids. You've dropped off your medication and you no longer have heartburn. You've reduced your anxiety and cholesterol. How'd I do?
It's a home run, man. That's a 10.
Yeah. Pretty amazing stuff, Evan. Congratulations. I'm really excited for you. And I so acknowledge you for making this commitment for yourself and for your family. And also, I want to thank you for supporting our other members inside of Project 90. As I always say and repeat often, it's not about our members getting the coaching. It's not only about our members getting the coaching. It's also about our members supporting other members. And you certainly did that by virtue of the fact that you shared on Marco Polo consistently, you commented on other people, you supported other people, you asked questions, you allowed yourself to be coached, and it was just a great positive experience to have you inside of our community, Evan. So I thank you and acknowledge you, sir.
Well, thank you, James. I want to thank you for starting the program. I want to thank you and Victoria and Sarah and the other coaches for, just being such tremendous leaders and for, helping me get the most out of the program, but also just helping me be a better person. So I really appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Evan Melcher, 46 from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you so much. And for you, the listener, thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next one. See ya.